Only a few years into the 90s, and Jean-Claude Van Damme was already at his peak of stardom as a global action star. At this same time, a director out of Hong Kong with the skill set for elegantly violent action movies named John Woo would be making his way out to Hollywood, and in his first American film, Woo would pair with Van Damme to just deliver a full-throttle romp that I consider to be a quintessential 90s action flick. So in this episode of Vintage 90s, we're stepping back into 1993 and diving into Hard Target. What's up out there, everybody? I hope you're all fantastic today. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is Movies Never Say Die, and I'm Anthony DeJoya, and this is your home for retro movie content. And today we're diving into what I think is a truly awesome Van Damme flick. It's a movie that delivers both action and unintentional humor. To me, Hard Target is just a high-octane action thriller that really just epitomizes the style and flair of 90s action cinema. Known for his balletic slow-motion gunfights and dynamic choreography, John Woo brings his signature touch and just lays it all over this film, turning what could have been a simple manhunt movie into a visceral, spectacle-filled, just visually captivating action movie filled with amusing bravado. Woo clearly did his homework on Van Damme. He knew the kind of action star that he was working with, and I think he was able to help create Van Damme's most dynamic action movie by being able to showcase both Van Damme's trademark moves, but also creating scenarios for him to broaden his impact in the action department to create a ton of scenes that I think really pop. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Van Damme plays a drifter with an immaculate mullet named Chance Boudreaux, who, when helping a gorgeous Yancey butler find her papa, ends up finding himself entangled with a group of wealthy businessmen who hunt other men for sport. Butler's Natasha learns that her father, who was a homeless veteran, was a victim lured into this scheme of human hunting and never lived to tell the tale. This deadliest game is orchestrated by the sadistic and villainous Emil, played by 80s and 90s legend Lance Henriksen, but when Boudreaux, with his military background and unmatched martial arts skills, becomes a prime target for the hunters, Emil and his crew will quickly realize that they've picked a hard target.
We are stalking an exceptional opponent.
Now, the primary attraction of Hard Target is easily the high-energy action sequences, which are typical of John Woo's bold filmmaking style. His flair for stylized shootouts and choreographed fights and slow-motion sequences are on full display in this one. There is a particular emphasis on gunplay, of course, which is in Woo's wheelhouse. He has Van Damme effortlessly handling firearms with that John Woo gusto, but he also does have him engaging in frequent hand-to-hand fights with various enemies. So like I said, you do get that variety out of Van Damme here in the action department. He even punches a snake and gloriously rides on a motorcycle while shooting bad guys, and to me it's just a buffet of magnificent cinematic cheese. But Woo ramps it up even more from there with his trademark use of slow motion shots and ultra explosive action sequences that defy gravity and at times logic, all in an effort to create a wildly fun action movie that gives all the violence and artistic elegance, which I think Hard Target certainly does. It's over the top, theatrical in every way possible, and that's why the movie's so much fun. And I think Van Damme is great in this movie. He's soaking the scenery in with Woo's direction. He has a handful of slow motion scene intros in this movie that'll make you chuckle. This character of a drifter is far from complex, and he certainly plays it overly stiff, but it works for the needs of this movie that clearly entertains without the need of much brain power. Because Hard Target is far from a thinker, it's a superficial, flashy, over-the-top action movie, so when Van Damme is called in to deliver some macho bravado, some comical one-line one-liners and kick a bunch of ass, he gives you more than what you need for this action-heavy script that wastes no time on melodrama or forced romantic angles. The plot here is basic and to the point. The characters are relatively basic as well, but the cast and the stylistic direction from Woo certainly elevates the experience. Countering Van Damme is Lance Henriksen as Emil, like I said, the main villain here. I think Henriksen brings an eerie, cold calm to the role of villain, making him both menacing and intriguing. He also injects a capable mysteriousness to his outing as the villain here, and I think he's the perfect, more complex counterpart to Van Damme's straightforward action hero. I love Arnold Vosloo here. He's a great number 2 villain. Yancey Butler is solid as well in a basic role and character type. And we get the Quaker Oat man himself, Wilford Brimley, as Boudreaux's Uncle Duvet. And Woo even gets a chance to put him on a horse with a bow and arrow. So you can't argue that the amusement park of action that this movie delivers is 97 minutes to remember. I also really enjoy the settings of this movie. The New Orleans backdrop is just cool for all the action. The score of this one gives it a moody vibe as well that almost kind of makes it feel like this Bayou Western hybrid. It all just cements the charming atmosphere of this movie to pull you into the settings effectively. Now on the downside, while Hard Target is undeniably fun and thrilling and visually exciting, it certainly does have its flaws from a critical aspect. The dialogue is pretty basic and cliched, with the script more than occasionally leaning into one-liners and predictable tropes. The plot, while serviceable as I said, is fairly straightforward, and it really shows zero effort into delving deeply into the character development. But let's be real, all of that would just get in the way and slow the pace of this movie down. So for what it needs to accomplish, Hard Target succeeds, with even its flaws coming off as nostalgically comical. And ultimately, Hard Target, like I said, is a quintessential 90s action film. It's to the 90s action genre what Stallone's Cobra was to the 80s action genre. It's filled with all the explosive action, creative fight sequences, and spectacle-fueled set pieces that fans of the genre crave. I've always loved this movie. Hard Target is a film that knows what it is. It's a vehicle for thrilling action and stylish choreography, driven by a charismatic action star and directed by one of the masters of the genre. It may not deliver much in terms of deep narrative, but it delivers on its promise of non-stop excitement, and I think it's earned its place as a cult classic in the action film canon. And that's it for this episode of Vintage 90s, diving into Van Damme's Hard Target. Let me know what you guys think of this movie down in the comments. Do you like this one? What are some of your favorite Van Damme movies? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you guys, as always, for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got some other movies you'd like to see me cover in the future, let me know down in the comments. I'll put them on the list. As always, thank you guys so much for all your viewership and all my videos. You guys are all the best. I appreciate you all. My next video will be coming real soon. Be on the lookout for that one. And until then, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?